Please help me in welcoming Dr. Aikins.
Well, thank you everyone for being here this morning. There's still some seats if people want to come up front. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how a patient, so not a small incident, but a patient made an enormous difference in my career, not once, but twice. And this was a patient like any other patient. I didn't know him better than I know my other patients. We didn't end up becoming friends outside of work. But he really did have an enormous impact on my career at 2 points. So when I was in the military, I was a physiotherapist, and I got posted to Kingston in 1994 as a new grad. I met a young soldier at that time, Kevin, and he had just returned from Rwanda. And I think as physiotherapists, and we learn this through school, that mental stress, distress, or anguish can often manifest itself physically or exacerbate physical conditions. And so when Kevin came to me for treatment, we talked a lot, as you do with your patients. And he had seen some terrible things in Rwanda and was really struggling with that. This was before the time that we knew what post-traumatic stress disorder was. And we knew people were struggling, but there wasn't a name. There wasn't even the knowledge around how that could be managed. So Kevin came to me one day in early 1995, and he was really happy. And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I'm going to Somalia." And I said, "Oh." And he said, "Yeah, I was just in with the social worker, and he approved me to go." So I thought, wow, I'm not a mental health professional, but I don't think he's really ready to go away again. So I went into the social worker, and I said, "I don't think Kevin's ready to go on another deployment." And he said to me, "No, he thinks he is. So I think he is." And I said, "Oh, okay." In 1996, I saw Kevin again after he'd deployed to Somalia. And he was broken. Kevin was broken. Not physically, he had physical issues. And at that moment, I realized that I had not been the advocate that I should have been for my patient. And so I decided right there and then that I was never again going to see a patient that I was not going to advocate for 100%. So I advocated tirelessly for Kevin, but for all my patients. We got Kevin the help he needed. He got great treatment in the military. They have a great system. But I released from the military in 1998, and I took that with me into civilian private practice. And I never stopped advocating for my patients, whatever they needed, if it was mental health services, if it was for me to talk to their family doctor, whatever they needed, I did it. Liaising with surgeons, whatever. Because it's not about me, right? It's about the patient. And it was just a huge, huge impact on my career. And I think one of the reasons that my patients were so devoted to me, because they knew I would advocate for them. So life marches on, and in 2006, that was the first very big impact Kevin had on my career. In 2006, two things happened. I finished my PhD and became a professor at Queen's, and I ran into Kevin again, just on the street, and we were chatting, and he was with his pregnant wife and little child, and he still in the military, and he said to me, "I'm going to Afghanistan." And I said, "Wow." And he looked great. He wasn't my patient. He looked great. So time marched on again, and in 2008, things got too much for Kevin, and he took his life. And when I sat at his funeral, and I looked at his wife and children. I thought, we're not doing enough. Canada is not doing enough. And this was the second very big impact that Kevin had on my career. At that time, I'd been talking to a retired general who had been my base commander about what we could do in Kingston being an area with the largest army base, the Royal Military College, Queens, the hospitals, about what we could do for military and veterans and their families. We approached the then Surgeon General, who was also looking for a link with the academic community. So by this time, I'm an academic, and my thought is we need to provide military, veterans, and their families with the best evidence to inform policies, practices, and programs that will impact their lives. In 2010, we started the Canadian Institute for Military and Veteran Health Research. 5 years on, I am so proud to say that we are a network of 37 Canadian universities, over 1,000 researchers dedicated to researching the health needs of Canadian military personnel, veterans, and their families. The federal government comes to us when they're going to make new policies. We link with health professional associations around programming and treatments. And we have very broad outreach in Canada and internationally. We link with our international counterparts who face the same thing. It has been and I'm also really proud to say that over the last particularly 2 years, we've brought in a little over $30 million to support this research. I've built a phenomenal team, but it's been a lot of work. But every time that I think I'm getting tired or this is consuming my life, I think of Kevin and I think of all the other Kevins I knew, and I know that it's the right thing to do. So that is how one patient really dramatically affected my life twice, my career twice, and I think of Kevin often. Thank you.